Four races remain to close out the Tier 2 season, and now it is time for Season 12, Tier 2, Round 8, Bahrain. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles. Alongside me tonight is Miniko, and we have championship battles to talk about. We have a 36-point gap in the Drivers' Championship and a four-way fight in the Constructors' Championship. If anything's been shown the last few seasons in RPL, in championship battles for Tier 2, it can all go down to the end, and it has a lot of unpredictability with it. Welcome, Miniko. Good to have you.
Yep, and it's good to be here as well. And, well, what a great track to be at. Bahrain should be a very exciting one for us.
It really should be, especially with the championship in play and 4 rounds remaining. This track should benefit the pad players, and J&T Gaming, our championship leader, is not a pad player at all. This is really a track he's been talking about, has been a bit of a struggle for him when the week started and practicing here. But JTK, who's 36 points back, he's had mistakes happen, but at least last week he was able to recover and get on the podium.
Yeah, luckily he has the benefit of being in a Red Bull to help him with that. But yeah, nonetheless, this track should easily favor those with not only being on pad, but also having quite a lot of traction behind them because of all the low-speed corners, such as turn 1, turn 10, heck, even turn 4. Like, there are so many different low traction sections that if you nail those, you're going to have a good chance of either going for an overtake or just having a great lap time. But that's only just the slow speed. You still got a couple high speed as well, especially in Sector 2. So it's a very interesting track, and it should be a spectacle.
So last week in Mexico, it was J&T Gaming picking up his first career win. Tadpole tried to play the DRS games with him, but it did not work. He finished second, and in third place, JTK made the recovery drive and got himself onto the podium to minimize the troubles he had in the championship. As for the constructors, I mean, Mercedes and Ferrari, they're tied at the front of the field, and this is going to be a fun one because Red Bull lost out big time last week. Bonkers DNFing. Red Fire Tiger, I believe, being outside the points, or maybe just 10th when the penalties were applied at the end there. The Stewards Report released a little bit late, but with that being said, we have it. We're here. We're able to talk about it. And, yeah, round 8 of the season. Lots of headlines to go through. We'll go over it in a little bit time, but, I mean, 2 seasons ago in this race, it was kind of the fairy tale story of what we were to expect entering Season 10. Season 10, this was the round opener, Miniko, and we had the 2 championship protagonists. Even when the season ended, battling it out, it was Hunted and Grandpa, the 2 who were going at it in this race in Season 10, and it came down to penalties at the end where Hunted was battling for it and then picked up a track limit penalty, and Grandpa got the win for McLaren that day. But the thing is, though, is that was kind of a preview for what the rest of the season was to come because they were the 2 main championship protagonists, with Groggers, also known as George Alp Williams, putting his name in the conversation there. He was right in the championship mix at the end of the season, but, I mean, he was in a Haas at the opening round that day and got a really decent points finish for the team. And kind of, like I said, the 3 stars, what was the preview. And now we're at 4 rounds remaining with this track. And we kind of already have our stars, but I think this is going to set the sights for what the last 3 rounds look like.
Yeah, it definitely will, and especially then this could be crucial towards the championship because we know drivers that are very quick, just generally. J&T, he's been pretty rapid, especially in qualifying. I mean, how many poles does he have at this point? Too many, in my opinion. But you've also got JTK, who usually is up there at the front. Hunted and Tadpole, both those 2 in the McLaren, which, by the way, I should mention it because I'm not sure if you did, but Tadpole and Valkyrie swapped seats. So now Tadpole is in the McLaren full-time, and Valkyrie has now gone in the Alpine. So that's a very, very strong lineup for McLaren, and they need that because they have made such a strong charge in the constructors, and that is crucial for them because they are only 8 points behind the leaders, and the past 2 races, if I'm not mistaken, had both Tadpole and Hunted They were 34 points behind. They're now 8. That is insane from them.
Hunted
But there's so many
LAX.
other drivers further down
Good.
that could be like just right up there.
Hunted LAX, by the way, new tier coordinator. One thing to mention as the stream started, we didn't get to mention it. Because Hunted is the new tier coordinator for Tier 2, this happened before that happened. Owen, no longer the boss man VIP. It goes to George now, George Alp Williams. And my opinion, to go on it, very interesting move. George has done a lot of contributions off track. On track, not really done himself a favor here in Tier 2. That's why he's not racing for the rest of the season. But at least for his sake, the good part is he can help out with the league now that he's not racing for the remainder of the Tier 2 season and onwards with that for now. Because of that, Owen said, I'm not going to be coordinator anymore, giving it to Hunted. And like you said, those changes are very interesting. Speaking of changes, the Tier 1 penalty report has been released. Miniko, congratulations on the podium.
Yeah, that was a very interesting race, wasn't it? Vegas. The fact that I got spun around on lap 1 to come up to a podium, I mean, that was insane. But, you know, obviously penalties had to help me, but yeah. But that was just a crazy race in general. We had action, like, everywhere.
Okay, so Sam Steed is on a lap, and he's at an 8-8. Sam Steed is racing for the second week in a row. He'll be alongside Bulugagi tonight. The last time these two were teammates was back in Season 9 of Tier 2. These two were teammates back at Alfa Romeo that season. And because Lojovic is missing, and Dom has a race ban for certain actions that he committed last week, that's why these guys are in those seats too. Ferrari Academy reserves. Sam Steed sets the benchmark with a 31.4. And because of Bonkers lagging out of the session, the game has put him out of contention for pole position tonight.
That may have just screwed him on getting him a setup too if he didn't load one in as well. So Bonker's already on the back foot, and he hasn't even gone out on track yet. That is horrible. Yikes.
Bino making his Red Bull debut. He made his debut a few weeks ago in Canada for AlphaTauri. He joined this league before then and left it. And then he rejoined, and because he didn't want to stay with J&T, it seemed, as the team principal for Ferrari, Cookie snatched him. And that second Red Bull seat, since Grandpa is no longer full-time in that area, will be rotating between drivers, and Bino is one of them. Bino full-time, obviously, as mentioned, turn 11 here, a tricky corner. We're going to go through the rest of the lap, Miniko. I'll switch it to you once we go to the last two corners, but up the hill here will be very treacherous for the drivers when it comes to their tire wear, because if you don't get it right, or if you even have rear wing damage, you're going to be spinning out in that area, and then right there, that corner is a little bit tricky for track limits. You might lose the rear, but that's where it will mess up for you.
Yeah, and it's also pretty easy to mess up this corner as well, the final two corners, but he manages to get it quite nicely, gets a decent amount of traction. First lap in the Red Bull, and where does he put it? Well, he puts it for original pole, 28.3. That's a pretty good anchor, and that puts him nearly 4/10 ahead of J&T.
Interestingly enough there, that was to be expected based on the times he was talking about doing in the Discord server. We got Valkyrie in the Alpine coming through Sector 1 now, DRS applied. So other changes for tonight's event with drivers missing or whatever it may be will include the following. So Mentoki's in the Mercedes due to Joe Wilson not being here. Welcome back Trat Racer. He's racing for the first time in, I want to say, over a season. He's in Aston Martin due to Mentoki going up to Mercedes for the event tonight. Nathan Richards is the new full-time driver at Williams. We've also got Make PK returning as well. Make PK just came off of a 20-race ban and is the brother of JTK. Not a full-time seat there at Williams, but the interesting thing, though, is that being a part of that academy, he can help out JTK in terms of winning this championship. If somehow J&T gets caught out behind him in terms of the strategy or whatever it may be, Make PK can be a blockage if he chooses to. Of course, within the rules, though, and within clean racing. And Ardell got dropped, so now Martin is the full-time Ferrari driver, just ahead of his teammate. And speaking of teammates, we got some teammate work here at the final corner. Kipu is going to help out Valkyrie on the run to the line now. Valkyrie will cross the line now, and we'll see what her banker is. She's not been here in a few weeks, but now time to prove yourself in the Alpine.
And she goes up to P10, to be fair, so it was a decent lap time. And now he's going to quickly pay it back as Kipu's now getting the slipstream from Valkyrie right down to the turn 1. So double Alpine slipstream for the both of them. Whether that was strategic or not, it's just worked out brilliantly for them. There you go.
Well, Kipu now, excuse me, I messed up the Alpine drivers. Coming through turn 4 now. Turn 4 can be tricky on the lockups, let alone the curbs. This S section can be tricky for a driver. When you come through it and you try to utilize the track, you might lose the rear. Turn 8 is another tricky one to get on the power, one of the trickier ones. And now for the lockups here, get ready for trouble at turn 9 and turn 10 here for the drivers. Not so tricky in terms of our track limits. That's not one of the corners we'll be talking about tonight. But interestingly enough, Kipu darted left there to try to pick up some slipstream from the car in front that was a Mercedes.
Yeah, that was Mintoki that he tried to get a bit of slipstream off. I don't think that really benefited him because Mintoki was all the way on the left. We'll see what Sector 2 is saying. Yeah, he's lost quite a lot of time. I think he might have just backed out. No, he's still going with it, but that definitely cost him time trying to swerve on the straight.
Well, here we go. Final corner approaching Kipu's way. This is the trickier one for track limits because if you go slightly wide and try to maximize it, you will invalidate, and he's gone out of bounds, and that's it from Kipu there on that lap. He will have to go again. Who else is coming across the line here soon? We're going to have Dill JG and Mintoki. Mintoki, I think, is on a lap now. We'll go on board with the female driver, one of 2 drivers this season to score points in every single race. And she's done that in an Aston Martin for 90% of her races so far. The fact is, with the Mercedes now this week, I think this gives better chances for her to do just that. Turn 2 now, turn 3. That's the tricky parts in track limits. And heading into turn 2, I'd say, is one of the trickier parts to put the power down as well.
Yeah, it definitely is because the river just really likes to step out. But doesn't seem to be the way for Mintoki, as she is slightly up on her Sector 1, just under 700, so it's a decent lap time for her. The Mercedes can be pretty good around here if you can get the rear in check, and, well, in case you haven't seen it, JTK is up there in second, so, yeah, that Mercedes can be good. Can Mintoki get anywhere near? She's a very good driver. I'll give her the benefit. She's a very good driver. Maybe not the fastest, but consistent.
Well, Invade was calling me a simp beforehand because I was giving her a lot of credit, and she does deserve the credit. She's got points in every single race in a freaking Aston Martin. The only other race she had a Mercedes in was Monza, and that's the race where she got penalized in the stewards room, robbing her of a podium finish. But now she can redeem herself tonight in that Mercedes, 2/10 up in Sector 2 at the split. Now out of the final corner, it looks clean so far, but across the line, it will be on the front row. Woo! Passing up JTK and Mercedes. They desperately need this in the battle for the Constructors' Championship. We're going to be talking a lot about tonight with the Drivers' Championship, the 36-point gap with JTK and JNT, and the Constructors' Championship, the 4-car race, technically 3 with the 5-point gap, though.
Yeah, so it'll just be interesting as to how that all play out. And I was actually having a quick look at the Constructors a little bit, just seeing how it's played out the past couple rounds. Ferrari and Mercedes, they scored the exact same amount of points last week. They've been tied, and they've been tied points for the past 2 weeks. That's just
insane.
incredible.
That's insane.
Like, how does that even happen? That's impossible.
Well, speaking of scoring points in every race, we've not talked about the Constructors. You have Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren who've done that. Red Bull failed to score in basically, what, 2 races now? Maybe 1, but if it wasn't 2, they only scored 1 point last week. Nathan Richards, I want to go on board with here. Oh, never mind. They don't want me going on board with him. I was just going to say he's one of the drivers making his debut tonight. You have Nathan Richards making his debut, Bino making his Red Bull debut, Zatsi making his Ferrari return, Zatsi also known as Merton on there, Blue Goggy making his Haas return, Trat Racer making a return, and Make PK making a return. So a lot of big storylines, but I think in terms of watching laps, I need to have Red Fire Tiger take it over here at turn 8 because that's who we're on board with now and is on a lap. After we're done with this lap from Red Fire Tiger, we'll switch it over to the pole position guys trying to go up there. Red Fire Tiger just came off of a league race as he does each week here in RPL, heading into Tier 2. Minico, that must be tough as a driver heading from one race to another, especially with the lack of practice. It's going to take you a little bit to get up to speed here, and I don't expect Red Fire Tiger to be anywhere close to the top 10 at all once he does this lap.
I think if you just have a bit of track time just in the game in general, I think it does help you a little bit. But yeah, if it's a completely different track, then it can hurt you a little bit. Seems like Red Fire's on a decent lap, though. We'll see what the timing board is saying. That AlphaTauri, obviously not the best, as we've seen from time to time, but can also be decently good. But we'll see what Red Fire does. Was in the Red Bull a few weeks ago, and he goes P13, so decent lap time for him.
J&T Gaming set a lap that set him on the front row, and he's trying to go for 5 consecutive poles. 5 consecutive poles or more has only happened once in Tier 2. Reese Dainty did that in his championship season before. If it wasn't his championship season, I believe it was season 4. But either way, impressive though from J&T with how he's qualified. Hunton's on track. He's only 7th. I think he bettered the lap, but he invalidated the next one. The top 7 in this field, of course, without Bonkers up there because of the retirement, is super close. And someone who's also super close to getting his way up to best of the rest is Blue Goggy, who needs to prove himself without a doubt.
Yeah, he definitely does, because obviously there's been quite a few drivers who have kind of just been shooting him down. Personally, I think if he just cleans up the act a tiny bit, he can be very good. But obviously, nobody's perfect, so you just got to take that. But Blue Goggy can be a decent driver. And yeah, being up there in the top 10, pretty good performance for him. And I just want to quickly mention, you were talking about how the top 7 were very close. Well, if you look at the gap between 7th and 8th, we're looking at around about nearly 6/10 between basically the front running cars and the midfield cars. That is an insane gap.
It really is, and considering how much the field spread has got a lot closer as well, there's a lot to talk about in that area. Well, Strat Racer I'm on board with. He's got no battery coming to the final corner, and this Aston Martin team hasn't had the best of qualifyings, but they've had better races this season, but he'll have to abort the lap and come back in, change to a new set of tires, and go once again. Valkyrie is coming through Sector 2, 42,000 up. I just want to remind folks with where we're at on the pole time. 28.0 was the FE pole time, and 27.8 was the Tier 1 pole time. I don't know if we'll get anywhere near there, but Bino for Red Bull is fastest with a 28.3. Valkyrie is heading towards Sector 3. Turn 11 approaches now. Take it over, Minico. I want you to kind of cover what you should be doing here into Sector 3.
There we go. Yeah, so for Sector 3, you just kind of want to go wide and then quickly cut in for turn 13 and just keep it left throughout the entirety of the straight. You just want to be sure to maximize as much as you can. Maybe try and get on the bit on that curb. Uses a bit of the curb, does Valkyrie, but not that much, and not using much of the curb on the outside, but still getting decent enough traction. That's what you want to do. Valkyrie coming across line improves on her position, goes up to P11, but I think I can say firsthand there's probably quite a bit of time in that lap. We'll see if she has enough time to run another lap, though.
Alright, so our quest for pole position with 2.5 minutes begins now. Mintoki is on track and going for it. The next person to get close to her on track and go for a lap will be the Ferrari of Merton, returning to that team. But Mintoki now comes through turn 1, 2, and 3. DRS applied, now down to turn 4. Like I said, turn 2 will be the tricky track limit area for tonight's event. And if you're racing wheel to wheel here into turn 4, the exit curb will be another thing too, because there is raceable surface on that runoff. Now the S section comes with 9 thousandths of an improvement here from her. Now, turn 8, brake heavy here, don't lock up. Can be a very tricky place to get back on the power. Second gear is not a gear you want to be in that corner, but she's mastered that though, because you usually lose the rear in second gear there. Now, down to turn 10, we will see a lot of lockups there at the double left. DRS applied. I'm going to be certain here, she's improving at the end of Sector 2 with no mistake in the next 2 corners, but will it be enough for front row or pole?
We'll just have to see. Oh, no, it isn't. She quickly goes around, hits the wall. That's going to be her qualifying done unless she's able to recharge that battery. But those tires are going to be absolutely shot.
And does she have a missing end plate too? No, she does not. She's clean of a front wing. She's got it intact.
She was marginally improving in Sector 1. It looked like she was on for a great Sector 2, but yeah, that corner for traction is so tricky. You have to be so easy on the throttle. You can't plant it immediately, and I think she just quickly found that out. And yeah, that is going to be her qualifying done.
I was looking at a message and I couldn't see how much Martin was improving in the first sector, but the game says he's purple, so I'm going to trust that. However, he's 3/10 off of his teammate, and if he is able to improve here in sector 2, this can set him up the order, and see if he can do that. He's in a close gap between Mintoki, JNT, and JTK for pole position, but Martin we're right on board with now 4th gear here through turn 11. He has 3 cars in front of him that he will be approaching, but can he get by them with ease, improving by a 1/10.5 in the sector split? This should be enough to beat JTK. The time can all be found in the last sector to go even better than that.
Yeah, we'll see if he can find the time, getting really close to that Haas, though. That's not going to distract him by the looks of it. He gets a very, very nice run out of the final corner. He has the pace to be at least 4th. Can he go any better? No, he lost time. He lost time in Sector 3. He's going to line up at best 5th.
And Mintoki's done. Mintoki, she invalidated. JTK has also crossed the checker flag and not made it.
He just missed it. He was
Wow.
basically coming across the line.
This might be quite the run for pole position then. Bino, 45,000's down, but improving in the second sector. JNT Gaming was down by a 1/10 in the first sector. So it's Red Bull versus Ferrari currently for pole position unless one of the McLarens can upset. Here's Bino sending it into the final corner, absolutely propelling his way through, and now coming to the line on his Red Bull debut. Can he extend pole position? Yes, he can. He's on provisional pole. JNT Gaming was 2/10 down in the second sector.
Yeah, it doesn't have an answer by the looks of it. Hunted improves. It goes up into 6. JNT, it doesn't look like he seems to have an answer to Bino unless he had a horrible final sector. Yeah, he doesn't improve, so that is it for him. What about Tadpole behind? Does he go any better? No, he only jumps up to 6. So McLaren not quite up there, unlike the past couple of weeks. So Bino
Red
looks
fire
set to take pole position.
What a
Ooh.
surprise, P9. Sam Steed back
Wow.
there, 18th did a lap. You had a Strat Racer who hasn't raced in over a season going 9th place. Still JG, a nice surprise for the midfield. Kippu as well to 10th. Next across the line will be Blue Goggy, and Blue Goggy was up by a 10th. Can he get himself in the top 10 for Haas? The answer will become no, but he was just shy of it. Behind that, Make PK on return and validated his last lap, but this midfield is close too. My goodness, a lot of people we didn't look through in that midfield who got some decent laps in there at the end and was able to better their place.
Yeah, wow. That was actually quite an insane end to that session. A lot of people improving, but Bino, he, in theory, only needed 1 lap to get pole position. But he decided to extend the gap and say, nah, I'm gonna just put my foot even further on the top step. And yeah, pole position for him on his Red Bull debut. Very impressive.
One of the other things I didn't mention, by the way, in my headlines, pens, changes update, though, is you see Make PK is in the Williams tonight alongside Nathan Richards. That's because Mythic is out serving a race ban due to incidents in Mexico that he had with Merton last week. So that's why he's not here. He's one of the drivers missing, and so is Dom with race bans to go with it. But this is such a close field as I expected for second on back. Obviously, the gap for pole position means we're going to have someone have to send it at turn 1 if we're going to see Bino be challenged for this race victory. But the top 5 concludes with this. Bino, JNT Gaming, Mintoki, JTK, Merton. You got both Ferraris up there, both Mercedes. No second Red Bull to be found because of Bonkers' glitch that he had. Tadpole, Hunted, Dill JG, Strat Racer, and Kippu round out the top 10. Some nice qualifying efforts there from Redfire and Blue Goggy. Valkyrie and the Alpine I expect to gain spots too. Wavy's right there in the midfield. And Bonkers 5, back row for the Red Bull driver because of the glitch that had happened to him, lagging out, trying to rejoin, and having an issue with that. Miniko, if you can let me know, you'll load in before me. Do we have formation lap on?
I will find that out as soon as I can. And I have a bit of information on Bonky. This isn't just a matter of him not being able to get a setup. He's got nothing. His wheel is done. So he is effectively out of this race. And yes, we do have formation lap.
All right.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate there for Bonky. And he said he was just driving. He heard everything in the middle of his wheel just crunch. So effectively, that just basically said his wheel has just discombobulated. And yeah, he's done. Super unfortunate. It would have been great to see what he could do, because that Red Bull looking pretty good, especially in the hands of Bino.
So, talk to us about the championship standings here, Minico. I mean, we have a 36-point gap between GTK and J&T at the front of the field. It's really going to be between them two to decide it unless something catastrophic happens today. And as for the Constructors' Championship, 3 teams within 5 points right there. Red Bull the only exception in that top 4, but they're still within a race. Those are the realistic guys as we start to eliminate some people mathematically that will have a chance for the championship.
Yeah, definitely. I think at this stage for both the drivers and the constructors, J&T, he just has to keep doing what he's doing at this stage. I think as long as he keeps getting at least second or something, he'll be able to keep JTK at bay. That's the minimum that he has to do. He just has to keep his consistency going, and, well, that doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. Constructors, well, anybody can do anything, and a position will change in the top 3 at least. Mercedes and Ferrari being tied. I'm still baffled by that. 2 weeks in a row that they're tied. That is just incredible for them. And yeah, McLaren only 8 points behind. They're a bit of an outside shot. The
That's
McLaren
8, not
doesn't
5, sorry.
seem to be that quick, but he's there.
All right, so strategy at play for tonight and the other things to note. So ERS gain back in the pit lane is 15%. Not as much as other circuits, but still you need to save some battery at some points because there are some DRS straights here in Bahrain. On the run to turn 1, turn 4, and turn 11. Pit stop loss 23 seconds, but here are the tires though, as the strategy will likely be soft medium, medium soft from a Red Bull type of driver. Maybe 1 or 2, 3 others might try it. We saw it happen, I think, from 2 or 3 guys in the Tier 1 race here, but last season in this race, I don't think we saw it at all. So we might not see it, but hard medium, medium hard, maybe hard soft, soft hard, but we have 2 guys in the soft, so it's the back row of the grid. Sam Steed at the back there on the hards, then the 3 guys in front of him on medium, so watch for that area to be a little kerfuffly. And then Kipu, Dill JG, Hunted, Tadpole in the top 3 are all in mediums. The only exceptions in that top 10 that are on hards are Trat Racer, Meriton, JTK. Should be very interesting to see the differing strategies between 2 championship protagonists, JTK and J&T there.
Yeah, it's very interesting for J&T to go onto the mediums, considering how the tire wear is on that car. But maybe he's doing a bit of a medium hard instead. We'll see how that pans out. But yeah, the two championship protagonists, 2nd and 4th, medium and hard. We'll just have to see how that pans out in this race.
Well, chat, give us your final predictions, and this should be interesting on the run to turn 1, especially with the tire changes from 3rd to 6th there, the differing tires. I mean, lap 1. I know it's got chaotic around here, especially the Tier 1 race, if you remember.
Yeah, it definitely will be chaotic.
Well, my apologies in the chat for not reading it, Nathan Richards. I have now made sure I will keep in place with that a little bit more. I've been a little distracted today, but no distractions this time. We have 29 laps on board at Bahrain, round 8 of the season, and it's the first of the Middle East races as we're looking to get underway here in Bahrain.
It sure is taking a while. Say that.
Everybody
It usually
lined
doesn't
up?
take this long. It looks to be so.
I would think
Having a
someone
look at
would need to
everybody.
leave the session. I'm not sure who. Not me, I know that.
Yeah.
Maybe the host or anyone who's not racing, or Bonky who's ghosted maybe? I don't know. Let's see what the drivers are saying.
I'm not sure.
What are the
I'm
drivers
just
saying?
telling them to wait.
Yeah.
Not
just
sure.
Waiting is a good idea. But I'll tell you right now, this is going to cook their tires in terms of the temperatures, though, and changing it. It's just going to mess things up badly if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm looking at the tire temps of some of these guys, and they are decreasing quite a bit. This isn't helping them at all.
No, I do want to apologize there to Nathan Richards, because it is a fair point to point out.
Oh.
Here we go. Here we go for Bahrain. Round 8 of the season. The first of the Middle East races to come here in RPL to close out the season in Season 12, Tier 2. The 5 red lights come on, and it is lights out, and away we go. Blue Goggy had a mess at the start. Shambles for him as he jumps to start. Now, Bino protects on JNT, who had a decent launch. Now, Mintoki having a better launch, splitting JNT with the teammate there. Now, Mintoki takes second place. Bino there in the race lead. Now, Mintoki in the slipstream here for second place, turning on the battery, and JNT Gaming has kept third place, but it's four wide here in the midfield. Now as they fight it out, JTK bogged down there. He's down to 6. Trad Racer will Dill JG, and now Blue Goggy and Wavy. The two have no love lost for each other, into some trouble.
How do those two always manage to come to blows on track? As there's a bit of a collision further on back between a Williams and an AlphaTauri, but it looks like nothing bad out of that. But yeah, a bit of a chaotic start.
Oh!
A great start though from Mintoki. As what's happened there?
Invade making a mess of turn 10, and I think Kipu as well getting tapped there. Redfire Tiger will take advantage of both of them. Redfire Tiger is through, up into the next place. And how about 3 into 1? Will this work? Oh no, that almost got very hairy. But everybody makes that alive, and Make PK getting aggressive. 3 wide to the S's here. Sorry, the hill at turn 12 and 13.
What is happening? So you got a spinner further back. Nathan Richards has gone off at turn 12, and that's not going to help him at all. But what a chaotic start for mainly the midfield pack, and it just keeps going because now McPK and Valkyrie going at it. McPK shoves Valkyrie way off the track, and that's going to allow potentially the AlphaTauri Jack Andrews to make his way through. It is absolute chaos. There's a person into the pits. That looks to be Blue Goggy serving his drive-through. How has nobody got damage out of any of this?
Horrid start from Blue Goggy, of course, trying to make a name for himself, but can't do so today with that kind of start. Now Make PK is getting Jack Andrews, and he's gonna go for it. He's through, up into the next place, and they collide. Make PK just cut across him and spun himself out.
Yikes.
He's trying to defend, I think, the Charles Leclerc way that he did on Verstappen here in the 2022 race, and it just didn't go to his way as they come to blows.
Yeah,
oh, Dill JG is in trouble.
To avoid. Oh,
that's
no.
because
What's happened?
I think of Redfire Tiger and him were duking it out. I don't know what happened there, but that's why he's in trouble. He had some contact there, I think.
Yeah, potentially. What a chaotic
and
couple
Hunted
laps.
has lagged out. You're gonna have to give him an invite. I just realized this Hunted has lagged out. That is why he's back there in P16.
Yeah, I've tried to get him an invite a couple times, and he's just not able to get in for some reason. He just bad game in the tier 2 chat, so he's having a bit of issues with that. Trying to get him in as soon as possible, but. End of lap 2, Mintoki taking the fastest lap and is closed in onto the back of Bino. DRS now enabled at this stage, so Mintoki looks to be staging a potential attack on the Red Bull. Both of them on the medium tires, but Mintoki looking very comfortable at this stage.
She'll be able to make an attack in a turn 4 since DRS is online for the first time this race, but further on back, we have some moves being made and some changes in places. Here's another one about to be made. Valkyrie, is she going to go for this? Jack Andrews defending. Jack Andrews goes aggressive, but Valkyrie down the inside, going to hold it. Wheel banging at the corner, and Valkyrie does take over P11 here in this race. Further on back, we have a big battle here between 2 Ferrari Academy teammates, and Bonkers in the mix as well. Bonkers, I don't even think he's in this session because of his wheel problems that you were talking about.
Yeah, no, he isn't. This is literally just this AI just going around, and, well, his AI has managed to make up 6 positions. I'm looking over at the positions gained. Quite a few people gaining, but also quite a few people losing. The biggest gainer so far looks to be Jack Andrews in the AlphaTauri, up 6th position. So great start for him. And both AlphaTauris actually had a decent start. So they're looking quite nice. Biggest loser looks to be Hunted, but he isn't in the lobby, so you have to look a little bit further down. That being Kipu and Blue Goggy.
So Hunted can't get in, I believe, because George joined the session midway through. So that is taking up a 22nd place for him to get in the lobby. But Redfire Tiger and Kipu here for 8th place was just a swap in positions, and now we got a battle for the lead. Hold on, Mintoki wants to go for it already. Lap 4 of this race. She'll take the lead of this race, and for the second time that she's been in a Mercedes, she's led a race here in RPL. But now Bino, will he try to snatch this back? Come turn 4, he's got DRS this time, and he's got the battery enabled too. He's going to go the long way around, and can she hold the race lead at the corner? They're going to be side by side. Bino, the long way around, will propel ahead.
Great amount of respect between them, quite a lot of space, but still hard racing. And yeah, Bino with that second DRS line. Ooh, bit of a moment
Still JG. Having to take avoiding action. Sorry to cut in. That was absolutely troubling there. If he were to hit the back of the driver in front, that would have caused a massive stack up, because you see these guys go back to 16th now.
Yeah, quite a bit of a crazy battle this is for the midfield, all being led by Valkyrie. This is for a points-paying position, to be fair. So this is 4 points. So they're giving it everything to try and close in onto the back of the Alpine, but nothing doing. It looks like DilJG, is he thinking about a move? Not quite, but he definitely had a little look. Nothing doing yet, as Jack Andrews is slowly starting to fall off the back of Valkyrie at this stage. So now Valkyrie's been dispatched, and DilJG is going to be the first one to pounce on the AlphaTauri.
I'm like switching through the people here, wondering which battle do I go with, because these guys already
right?
just want to have a go at one another this whole time. Bino keeping Mintoki at bay for now, but how much longer as we approach turn 1? Well, it will be by turn 1 that they keep each other intact. Tadpole takes over P4 in this race over Martin. We also have a battle further back. It's Jack Andrews on the main straight holding on for now, but DilJG is going to have a go at this. Here is DilJG having the inside preferred line, getting ahead, but now it's a switchback here from Jack Andrews, pulling alongside, racing wheel to wheel. There is contact. That is Jack Andrews going on the runoff, but further on back, it's Sam Steed and Wavy who's also racing it out. 2 by 2 as we get to turn 4, but I don't think they're going to stay that way. Jack Andrews going for the dive, and a collision almost.
Oh.
Now a collision further on back. It was
Oh.
Sam Steed and Wavy. Sam Steed has slammed into the wall, and there was also trouble from the other Williams, this being Make PK.
Yeah, he just looped it around turn 3. Yeah, Sam Steed, though, not sure what happened to him, but now he's got front wing damage to trouble him, so he has to go into the pits.
Whoa!
By the time he reaches the pit lane. There's a collision. That looks to be, yeah, that's Jack Andrews. What's happened there?
No collision. He rear locked it and spun out. He will get that 3-second removed if he submits his race director, because that did say multiple warnings. But the gap for the lead right now in lap 5 is 4 tenths between these guys. Can Mintoki put herself back into the lead of this race and reclaim it?
Yeah, she's falling quite nicely on the back of Bino. Usually the Red Bull should be easily pulling away at this stage, but Mintoki's been able to stay on the back of Bino and probably keeping her tires in check, because now with this DRS, she's able to just save a bit of that battery and those tires as well. We'll see if she potentially launches an attack into turn 4. She is gaining, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It isn't. She sticks behind for the time being.
She's continuing to flirt with that race lead, but the thing is, though, I think she's staying in behind because she wants to save some ERS for later. She can do that being the second place car there, and Sam Steed has just sped into the pit lane right there, and he is the first retirement of this race. Sam Steed is out. Now his teammate Blue Goggy will have a go at Make PK. 2 drivers who've gotten major incidents before these two and had some penalties to deal with it in the stewards room. Now go wheel to wheel here. This is the battle I think everybody, for the sake of drama, have been waiting for, but this time Blue Goggy is the one out in front, and now Make PK will have another attack here at turn 4, but stays in behind. And this race lead I just saw for a second got really close right there. Mintoki closed the gap there on Bino, but couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I think she's just sticking behind at this. She knows she can't pull away, so she might as well just follow that Red Bull's every move. If she isn't careful, though, well, she's got J&T right behind, and J&T is just kind of chilling there. So this race lead could be a toss-up between all 3 of these guys. Oh, Mintoki having a bit of a moment out of the final corner, but she's going to add DRS this time around and easily pulls out from the slipstream of Bino and is going to retake the lead here in Bahrain. Can Bino potentially try and mount a challenge, or is he trying to defend from GNT? Not quite, but second DRS zone available once again for Bino. Does he go for the move on Mintoki this time around? It doesn't look like. No, he isn't.
Meanwhile, further on back, we just had to move between Meriton and Tadpole. This is beneficial because if anything happens at that top 3, these are the guys within that race for the lead at that point, or the podium. With that said, you mentioned Mintoki claiming the race lead over Bino. Well, Bino became our 42nd different pole sitter of RPL Tier 2. Now Mintoki or Bino could become the 39th different winner of Tier 2. We had a first-time winner with JNT last week, and we got a spin. That is Wavy Knife into the barrier. He's just not having the day at all. And now something happened here between our race leaders here at turn 10. I think the stack up and accordion effect got to them because JNT Gaming becomes our 3rd different leader in this race.
How is that happen? Did Bino potentially make a bit of contact with Mintoki there or something? I don't know what's happened there, but you have JNT now in the lead. He's probably thinking, thank you very much. I'll just gladly take that and walk away.
Well, we got a race in our hands because of it now.
Yeah, exactly. It's worked out for JNT, but Mintoki is still very much there. She's going to have the DRS, but we know how JNT is. He can control a race very nicely, and he seems to be doing just that because Mintoki's not even close to making a move.
Well, I will say this helps Ferrari's sake in the Constructors' Championship to win another Constructors' Championship like they did in Season 10. And here we go for the move. Tadpole makes the overtake here for 4th place. Further on back, we got Wavy Knife getting the ghosted car of Bonky, but now he'll try to get the upper edge on Jack Andrews here for the 13th place spot. Jack Andrews going very defensive on the main straight, but Wavy Knife wants to still go at it and have a go around the outside this time, and then have the inside for turn 2. That's why you want to go for this around the outside as a driver, because now having the inside line for turn 2 enables you to push the driver onto the curb, lose time, and now go ahead. But see, the difference here is, though, Jack Andrews has DRS still and will try the up and under and go the long way around, and Wavy has a little snap and overcorrects it into him.
And Jack Andrews just pulls it out right in front, so he manages to maintain that. We'll see if that's potentially a bit of a Max Verstappen X thing, and it is. That's exactly what I was thinking. And yeah, Wavy's now back out in front as Meriton looks to have been overtaken further up ahead, and he's now down to 6th. JTK up into 5th, so he's starting to make those hard tires work.
Well, Meriton was a little bit wobbly there out of the exit of turn 10, and that's why JTK made the overtake on him. I did notice yellow flags for Make PK. His return is not going to the way he would have wanted it, but his brother, JTK, got a place from those yellow flags, interestingly enough, so good thing it wasn't in the same sector there, or else that would have been troubling there. Wavy and Jack Andrews still a battle further on back. We won't pay attention to that right now because we still have a chance to see some moves here at turn 1. JNT Gaming and Mintoki, seems like those two in the Discord server have become friends the last 2 weeks. They're battling it out right now for the race victory. JNT Gaming, a first-time winner last week. A first-time winner could come from P2 and P3 here if this continues on.
Yeah, but they're just holding position at this stage. And yeah, I think they're starting to calm down a little bit, just get into a bit of a rhythm. It's crazy, though, because we have one train, a 3-car train, that's for the lead, and another 3-car train, that's for P4. So we've got 2 trains for quite high positions at this stage already, and, well, both of them contain a Ferrari, but one of them is a Red Bull, the other one is a McLaren. Tadpole's been hanging on to this lead for P4 very nicely.
Wavy Knife and Jack Andrews still are not done at this. They're having a nice ding-dong battle, and I think they've gone side by side for half the track, and we missed that because the lead was still close. I don't want to miss out on the lead. I know there's a few times here I have done that. I'm not as bad as Titan, I feel, with that in comparison to what people have said there. But Wavy Knife makes the pass for 13th, and this will be good for him because he's on the medium tires. He'll go to the hards if he has a safety car at the perfect time, as long as it's not the cause of it. He'll be able to at least, I think, have a chance to beat these hard runners in terms of a safety car at the right time. The only difference is he won't be on the right tire at the right time, though. Lap 10 of this race, we're about a third of the way done, and JNT Gaming is in control of this race, it looks like. However, his battery in comparison to the 2 behind him is not at a good place. But JTK now getting a place for P4 on our grid, but Tadpole pushing him along here, not gonna give an inch here after the corner, it looks like. I think Tadpole wants to still have a go for this. DRS applied down to turn 4, and this will be a big race for this spot now.
Yeah, Tadpole electing to stay behind now, so he's just gonna let him have that position. Has a bit of a wobble, though, out of turn 4. The curb unsettling him a little bit, but he seems to be okay from here on in. We got somebody into the pits, that being Nathan Richards in the Williams, making his first pit stop. And I've just been quickly noticing, I'm just looking around at a bit of the grid. We haven't really talked about a couple drivers, but I might as well mention them. Redfire and Invade. P8, P9. Those two are running very nice races.
Yeah, I think that's our standout performance so far of today. Maybe even Strat Racer, because he's not even raced in this league for a few months, and he's P7 for Aston Martin, doing what usually Mintoki would do in that car. So clearly not out of the unusual. We have Wavy and Jack Andrews both had switched places there for P13 on our order. But now on our timing charts, you can see the gap being 7/10 between J&T Gaming and Mintoki for our race lead. And by the way, I was going to mention, those soft tires was to be expected to see a pit stop soon here. We will see mediums come in to some pit stops around halfway here very soon. Once these battles end up stopping here at the end of the lap, I will change controller batteries because that needs to be done. But not a change here between Bino and Mintoki going to happen for long. It's Bino getting it quickly over Mintoki for second place in this race. Tadpole in the background also got the better end of JTK, and this is quite nice for P2 now. Now Mintoki is going to try the dummy, and she will not be able to get it. Does she have a bit of foaming damage? I thought I saw some on her car. No.
No.
I thought I did for a
she
second.
seems to be okay. Yeah, no, she seems to be all right, and she's just clearly playing it safe. But yeah, Bino electing to be a little bit more aggressive at this stage. He used quite a bit of his battery, but not much. Wavy gets a 3-second for multiple warnings. But yeah, Bino electing to just go for it right then and there. And yeah, now he's up into second place, going to try and chase after J&T. Yellow flags further back. That was for Make PK. Once again, just having
Whoa! Pinching!
tough
Banging!
race.
Turn 5! The S's has Wavy come in front. Wow, that was absolutely amazing, the battling going on there. These two having a nice cracking battle. I'm going to change controller batteries here while we get to the race lead. It's still close here, and I think it's going to be even closer come the main straight.
That's it. Definitely will be. We'll see. Gets to know. Or actually, no, look for Bino. We know how good car is in a straight line. Is it good enough, though, to overtake the Ferrari? He's looking for it. He's going to dive onto the inside into turn 1. J&T's going to let him have done this lead, but J&T now is going to try and look for the move once again into turn 4. Looks to not have the best of exits, though. That's going to help Bino to hold the lead going into turn 4, and he does. Bino back in the race lead once again.
3-car race in a turn 4 now. It's Tadpole holding on to Merton, but for how much longer? Merton gets the squeeze there, and he gets forced off there at turn 4 and has to take to the kitty litter. We also had as well Jack Andrews becoming the second driver to pick up a track limit penalty. They're even in that fight with Wavy for P13. Well, now here we go, hopping on the curb. Wavy gets forced out the long way and very wide at that, but will take the place due to the preferred inside line. Jack Andrews, though, will have DRS for turn 4.
And he's going to think about launching a move. He's thinking about it, but Wavy just cuts him off a little bit and stays in front. These two, I mean, fair enough. They haven't collided. They haven't spun. Although this may be for 12th place, this is an insane battle from these guys.
Maybe the cleanest battle of this race, we could maybe argue?
Maybe.
I mean, I know the race lead has been a big battle in terms of back and forth, but it's been DRS passes. Wavy and Jack Andrew have been elbows out from the start, it seems. Speaking of the front pack, J&T Gaming, the first to pit. And no surprise with that Ferrari tire wear, it wears more than the other cars. So if you're Bino or Mintoki, though, and you're wanting to pit here in the next 4 or so laps, well, realistically, you better get a go on here because you need to have a good overcut compared to J&T's undercut here. Tadpole pits. We have Kipu in the pits as well. I don't think there's anybody else going to pit here unless you're on the medium tires right now, but 3 guys on 1 lap there going for the pit lane.
Yeah, so they're effectively just going for the undercut at this stage. J&T comes out in P9 by the looks of it, and in a decent position, just in front of the Alfa Romeo, but quite a ways behind Valkyrie. Tadpole also coming out in a nice place. So they're effectively trying the undercut to try and either get ahead of what was the leaders, or to pull away from those you're fighting. In which case, JNT is going to try and undercut the leaders.
So, interestingly enough, that Ferrari pitting earlier onto the hards will be able to get to the end of this race from the looks of things with the way hards wear out, to my knowledge. However, the interesting thing about it, though, is if you're JNT Gaming, you can't use up that battery and obliterate it, because if you're in his situation, you're sitting behind 2 cars right now. You have to get him one at a time, and you have to get him at a perfect stage too, because if you don't, well, you're going to be wasting your tire wear behind these guys. And the other thing, too, is you can't obliterate that battery. He's at the same battery as Valkyrie F1 is here, and our race leader is into the pit lane. That's Bino in as well with Mintoki. Now, JNT Gaming wants to get the place here on Valkyrie, using battery, inside line here. Remember, both of these guys will have DRS on Invade here at the final corner, but I think Invade was trying to back these guys up and have one of them pull to the inside and get the DRS, but it's not going to happen. This time, though, it's a 3-car race into turn 1 again.
Oh, it could be close. It could be
close
between those that are those that just pitted, as JNT is going for the double overtake of both these guys. Bino's managed to retake the lead. JNT just gets in front of Matoki and has gotten the move done on Valkyrie, and now going to go around the outside of the Alpine, gets it done, and he's going to have DRS once again to try and close in onto the back of that Red Bull, but the undercut hasn't quite worked out for him. He's still defending a little bit from Valkyrie, but nothing doing. Bit of contact there between Invade and Valkyrie, but they managed to come out of that without any spins. And now Mintoki trying to go for it, but can't do it just yet.
Yeah, this is costing her time. I was just going to say Invade giving bump there to Valkyrie, not giving an inch, and now it's just going to get Mintoki the pinch here, and she can't get around it because of it. She's going to go for the dive at turn 10-9, where Alonso made the move on Lewis Hamilton, and now it's side by side with Valkyrie. The 2 female drivers almost come together, but Mintoki has Invade for company. How about 3 abreast once again for a second? Invade was thinking about it through the middle, but Mintoki through finally.
And Invade gets through on Valkyrie as well.
Tadpole also got another place too. Tadpole as well needed that, because with this battling, these two are not going to be battling for much longer, Invade and Valkyrie. So while you can get the places, Tadpole trying to pull the undercut on his rivals of GTK and Merton.
Well, that's a good way to spice things up for this race, needless to say. But yeah, this has absolutely helped Bino, because JNT and Mintoki were caught up trying to just get ahead of cars that weren't effectively racing them. That's allowed Bino to just pull away, because now nobody has DRS on him.
Keep you on the edge of your seat in Miami qualifying later. Well, how about right now with this race? How about that?
It's been absolutely insane. We're only halfway through.
Miami Sprint qualifying is after this event for those of you tuning in. That is in 30 minutes time, so you will have this event finished beforehand. So that will be the interesting thing in terms of how we're timing things. But no safety car, no VSC, nothing to hinder this race. Dill JG finally in, and now we have Bino getting by Redfire Tiger. I think Redfire Tiger might be able to play the team game here with his teammate, Academy teammate, at that.
Yeah, maybe. The one thing's for sure, it actually hasn't been the case, because Redfire, although he has DRS on Bino, look who also got DRS. JNT.
Ooh.
So he's managed to pick up a bit of a slipstream and close in between himself and Bino. But because Redfire's in front, he's going to be able to hold up that Ferrari for the time being. Is JNT thinking about a move? No. But he's elected to go maybe for a bit of a late apex
Hold
move.
on. Hold on.
Is he?
Tadpole. Turn 14 gets it done, and now JNT is getting it done. Sorry to cut in. That move from Tadpole was about to be one of the moves of the century right there if he would go a little bit later on the brakes. Front 2 air in. Sorry.
Yeah, front 2 effectively going on to the medium tires. Bino now sets the fastest lap of the race at 31.8. The inter-team, I guess, strategy has worked out.
Whoa!
Bino has pulled more of a gap, and contact there.
I don't think it was contact, but I think it was almost close to contact there. Close quarter racing between JNT Gaming and Redfire Tiger at turn 1. Redfire Tiger has to sit in behind, and JTK and Martin have pitted on the mediums. They're 4 seconds behind Tadpole, but they have the better tires, though, so we'll watch if they could close their way up to 5th place and what will be 4th place when Redfire Tiger pits here. Wow.
Jeez. Leave it to midfield drivers to completely spice up a front-running race.
Well,
like
maybe even safety cars in Tier 1 wavy. You know, I mean,
That's
you have
true.
that in your tier.
Yeah. They, I'm still
Whoa!
mad about
Almost
Canada.
an Academy
Whoa!
collision! Blue Goggy, was he moving late in front of Dill JG? I don't know, but he might have had the right to do that, trying to follow Valkyrie right there. Dill JG nowhere near, but ended up hitting the back of Blue Goggy. I think just barely getting away with it, but we're going to see if he has any damage on that end plate, because if he does, it'd have to come from the right side here as we look now. No.
No.
He looks like he has that front wing intact still.
Luckily,
I don't know
very,
how.
very close. Yeah, it was a very close moment between the two. And Blue Goggy, the thing is, he obviously pitted on lap 1. Actually, no, he didn't. He started a drive-through. So he was way down to the pack in the first place, as he has yet to pit. Speaking of pitting, Red Fire is now into the pit, so he is now dispatching the rest of the guys. Trat Racer with the fastest lap. Hello?
Well, he put in a good performance to start the Hungarian Grand Prix 2 seasons ago when there was a big championship battle, but I don't think he's put in many since then, since his one podium in France that same season. Interestingly enough, I want to mention a few things. Martin in DRS at JTK, and Red Fire Tiger in giving Mentoki the DRS because of it. We've got a battle on our hands for P5, and I'm almost certain soon, even with Trap Racer in this battle, this will become P4 as long as they don't battle it out, because they have the better tires in comparison to Tadpole. And even if Mentoki gets a 3-second there for that punt to pass move on Valkyrie and Invade, that should still keep her in third when the penalties may get applied. I'm feeling like she's going to get a penalty for that incident, but, I mean, in comparison to Monza, it looks like she's going to get a podium this time because that's the only thing that will stop her from a podium.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Knock
Well,
on
she
wood
did spin
on
in
that.
qualifying. You have a fair point there. And
True.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again, because, you know, mistakes like that can translate over the race, but, hey, they say have it happen in qualifying for a reason, right? Well, that's kind of what happened here to Mentoki. They're now in third place of this race. Trying to become the, well, Bino crossing first would be the 74th different, 73rd different podium sitter in Tier 2. Mentoki trying to become the 74th, though, tonight. She would have had it in Monza, but we know what happened. She was penalized in the steward's room. So, yeah, that's what happened there.
It'd be interesting to see, though, what goes on behind Mentoki, because, yes, she may be sitting in a net third place, but Tadpole, JTK, Meriton, they're closing in a little bit. Tadpole is on much more worn tires compared to Mentoki, but JTK and Meriton, they're on mediums, and they're only 2 laps old, so theoretically, they should be faster. As to whether they'll catch up, I'm not sure.
Nathan Richards runs wide at the final corner, allowing Jack Andrews to make the pass, and also Invade and Valkyrie were DRS swapping there. Now I think they're going to do it again. Let's see. Wheel to wheel here, side by side. Invade with the inside line. He was expecting maybe a point or two today. Well, right now he's into the points. Further on back, Nathan Richards still within DRS of Jack Andrews, but both these guys, I remember them saying it's not their best track. So today, being P14 and P15 right now in our lineup, maybe not the worst of days. You could be like Hunted, who had trouble rejoining the session, the Season 10 champion, and the near winner of this race back in Season 10. But at least to be, I'm not going to say just outside the points, but just ahead of those guys and not exactly plumb last could be better. You also have Make PK having a horrible return in terms of what he would have expected. And now Valkyrie gets the move done into turn 10, or turn 11, excuse me, for P10.
Yeah, these two are just going at it. Left,
No
right,
surprise.
and
They
center.
did in Texas, too.
That is true. And you're actually having a bit of a timing glitch, I've just noticed, because it's saying for you that Kipu is in P8. Well, on my end, it's saying that he's in P18. So there's a bit of a glitch going on there. I'm not sure what's happening. Like, looking at the track map,
Interesting.
it's more relevant, at least for me, saying that he's behind Hunted. But for you, it's saying he's on the back. What is happening? Okay, someone's desynced, but it's only for Kipu.
Invade and Valkyrie making another DRS swap there. I thought JTK and Martin were doing it. I was trying to figure it out. I don't think he's really P18 here, because if you look at where Hunted is, and then you look where Blue Goggy is, and then now you look where Kipu is to the car in front, the only guy in front of Trat Racer and him is Make PK the lap car. But the only thing I could think of being the case there is different screens, you know?
But yeah, exactly, because like for you, he's in the middle of Sector 2. For me, he's just started Sector 1. So I'm not sure what's happening. But it seems to be only Kipu, but nonetheless, he's. I'm just gonna go off of what you're seeing and saying that he's P8.
I want to
Just go
hope
with
that's the
that.
case. Because we had this
Yeah.
happen in Texas Tier 2 a few seasons ago with Minions and Owen, and I'm glad I still was calling the winner right, because it was a Red Bull 1-2 that day when, on my screen, Owen was like 10 places back. He had a stinker there at Texas, according to me, on my screen. So, yeah. We're past halfway, clearly. We know that. We're about to enter the 3/4 away of this race in just a few moments' time, but in a few moments' time, we might be getting some more battling into turn 4, if not later than that. Tadpole has JTK and Martin there for company, but if I'm in Toki, these are the two I'm going to worry about, JTK and Martin, because they've gapped Trat Racer there, so now, free race here for P4 maybe on the cards? I don't know. Looking like it.
Yeah, it definitely is. Tadpole, obviously being on the hards, he's definitely slower than the two behind him. So he's just kind of holding these guys up a tiny bit. But yeah, JTK trying to think of anywhere to make a move, because obviously he's going to have DRS, but it's not going to be that easy, because Tadpole could easily just re-overtake. So, doesn't look like he's going to go for it going into turn 11. So he's going to stick behind for the time being, or is he? No. Nah, yeah, okay. He's going to stay behind for the time being.
I just want to remind people, if J&T Gaming finishes where he's at and GTK does not get a place here on Tadpole and finishes where they are at, without fastest lap, the gap in the championship is 44 points, meaning the title, if it ends up being that way, can be won at the earliest next week. So something to look out for. Something to also look out for, we've got no titles wrapping up in Tier 1. Constructors and drivers decided. We race there tomorrow in China, and we'll talk about next week later on for Tier 2. Right now, P4 on the cards. And right now, JTK's ducking out and making the move, and we might be seeing 3 wide into turn 1. Tadpole getting swarmed up here, and now Martin staying ahead, but for how much longer? Did Tadpole think of a dive right there? No, but he almost gave him a boot right there from behind. But JTK up to P4, crucial place for him. Martin P5, and if they can catch down Mintoki, Martin could be on for his first podium in Tier 2.
Yeah, that'd be great for him on his debut for Ferrari. Because that second Ferrari seat has been a bit of an interesting one. Because as we saw, Ardell was in the car. He's had pace. Ardell's had pace, but the race just never, ever translated.
Well,
which they look to be changing that. And as of right now, it seems to me that Ferrari have changed it.
Ferrari had their second car up there in a lot of races. I mean, Ardell had the podium in Austria up until the stewards room when penalized.
True.
Similar situation with Mintoki and Monza, I guess you could say. Steward's office, podium on track. Oh, wiggle from JTK. And Martin, I don't think, wanted to take it because there's DRS available on the run to turn 1. So Martin wants to sit behind, then go for it. But this is just costing them time to try to get by one another and figure out who's going to chase after Mintoki here. I don't think JTK is going to defend for the teammate because he's got a championship to win himself as well.
I think JTK might just be playing a bit of a team game because
I don't think so.
I don't know if they'll be able to catch up. So
I don't
he
think
might
so.
Just hold up Merton.
I really don't think so. I don't see why you would, but in terms of a first podium, yeah, it makes sense for Mintoki. But with their gap in terms of third and fourth right now and how much they've been catching on the mediums, it is doable to catch. But as Murray Walker and others have said before, catching's one thing, passing is another, and we know that ourselves being Americans and watching NASCAR.
Well,
Dirty air.
I don't
We
really
love
watch NASCAR as much as you guys.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Dirty air is a big thing, though,
I'm-
we know. We do know that. Whether it's F1 or
That is
NASCAR.
very true. That is very true. And I'm having a look at the constructors at this stage, because obviously the drivers, J&T, looks to be extending it at this stage. Looking at the constructors, we know the two that are tied. Oh, Merton! Woo! Bit of a moment there at turn 10, bit of rear locking. Managed to save the car. But going back to what I was saying, we know that Mercedes Ferrari are tied on points at this stage, but if things stay the way they are, Ferrari are outscoring Mercedes by a singular point. So this would be the first time in the past couple of weeks that one team outscores the other.
Well, it's like they've been glued to each other like a magnet the recent races with what's been said. One other thing
Even
to
then,
mention
only
is we're
1
going to have
point.
DRS games, I think, here between JTK and Merton. Next Tier 2 races to end off the season for JTK to try to get back at J&T here. China, or sorry, Abu Dhabi next week, then China, then Japan, the finale. So we'll watch out for that incoming races. But now, incoming for fourth place, Merton on the attack, trying to get a first Tier 2 podium here. If he can get past JTK, he can catch up to Mintoki and do so. But right now, no move is being made right there. Merton, remember, I think this was where his first ever F1 race win came at, when he was the league owner of RPL back in Season 1, Tier 1. So, you know, a good track for him in the past. Not so much this time tonight, though. But being P5 and having a chance here in comparison to what Ardell's been able to do, it is very nice that they'll be able to get the result for the sake of the constructors. Nothing against Ardell. He had a lot of pace, but the results just weren't there. Move being made. Valkyrie in an Alfa Romeo sandwich now.
Yeah, Valkyrie looks to be trying to take it back. It's just a bunch of DRS swapping this entire race so far, and Valkyrie thought about it. Not quite.
As soon as I get to one battle and you see something, you know, I'm always looking at the other battle. I know. This is just, you can't keep your eye off of it type of stuff. That's how it is, this race. I mean,
battles, looking on further back, Blue Goggy has managed to get past Jack Andrews. So Blue Goggy, despite having that drive-through, still P14. Not been a bad race for him.
Yeah. You know what? It's very interesting. He had a crash at the opening parts of this race. I believe it was him, unless it was Sam Steed. And he also had the drive-through, like you said. So, yes, fair credit to Blue Goggy. He's only 5 seconds back from Wavy and on the better tires. And considering that Haas is an absolute boat, this is not a bad performance by all means. Main straight, DRS online, but no move, I think, unless it's going to be in the braking zone. And he is backing off because look at the ERS difference between JTK and Martin. 60% is their difference right there. Dill JG picking up a track limit penalty. That will definitely hinder his chance for points. That is ultimately over. The thing you mentioned about Ardell, same thing could be mentioned for that other Red Bull spot. Bino leading this race and Cookie acknowledging it, the team principal, in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, making Tier 2 his, I'll say female dog. If everybody knows the term, you know. But, yeah, Bino's running a very nice race. I'll just say it. He's been comfortable ever since the pit stops, and yeah, he's doing exactly what's expected of him. I'm just having I'm just having a bit of a look for some of the drivers, just seeing what's different or anything, and I just gotta give a hand to Redfire. He may have quite a few positions at the start, but since then, he has been in a league of his own in 9th.
That AlphaTauri here is absolutely horrid, and the only person I think that has made that AlphaTauri look good around the circuit is Skither.
It's him.
In FE, if I remember correctly. And the only other one that I can think of coming to mind is Florian, but I don't think it was at Bahrain he did it. He did it at the first few races of Season 10 F1. Redfire Tiger has had a very slouchy season, whether it be in Red Bull, even getting a point or two in some races that he's taken advantage of others' misfortunes at the start of the season, Texas being his only podium. So, yeah, he's definitely someone who needed a good run like this, and a lot of guys talk about his fall-off being one of the biggest fall-offs in terms of drivers in RPL, constantly scoring a podium once a season and being in contention, even when he didn't score a podium last season in Tier 1, now fighting for where he's at right here. P9 on an AlphaTauri actually outperforming this car and not getting it only based on what looked to be others' misfortunes. We've not had many others' misfortunes. The only one you could argue, Bonkers and Hunted. He would be P11, Redfire would on pace then. That's not bad for a car that is absolutely horrid and really has a stinker a lot. He does deserve the credit when credit is due. I know there's a lot to still be regained because you could still argue, hey, he went from Tier 1 to Tier 2. That's still disappointing in itself. But a first podium in Texas and now a P9 here with limited practice, it's definitely credit-worthy.
Sometimes it's not always about the fall-off. Sometimes it's about the comeback. We'll
Well,
say that. And he's starting
to
make a bit of a comeback for him.
I was gonna say we can still see a good comeback here from even what would be JTK from being 4 seconds back from the teammate, now 2.3 here, and even Mintoki from what was a podium stolen from her. She felt in Monza. P3 on the cards for her right now. She's doing an enormous job. You know, everyone says I give her too much credit or I give a lot of credit, but this is exactly why. The Mercedes opportunity has presented itself, and ahead of championship contending teammate JTK. That's exactly why I've given it a lot of credit. And although in the Mercedes next game, well, right now, she could be on for a first podium before having to do it next game in that car.
Yeah, that car isn't great for next game. I'll say I'd
That's why you got out of it.
Fifth.
That's why you got out of it.
I mean, to be fair, it's a number of things. One, it was that, but it's also because why would I turn down the McLaren? I love that team.
I was trying to fix the audio there because the game wanted me to ride on board with one of the cars, and you were talking there, and the co-commentator's volume does end up being a little bit lower, so I had to make it a little bit convenient for the people to hear you. But yeah, 4 laps remaining. Like I said, we got RPL's return to China in F1 tomorrow. That's one thing to look out for as well. And 3 more races remain in Tier 2 with Abu Dhabi, China, and Japan to close out the season. If I'm in Toki, though, I'm taking this first podium. I'm not going to swap it for the sake of my teammate here, especially considering how hard she's worked for it. She has a chance to swap it and allow herself to get 4th here, but I think you still keep it regardless of a driver. You don't just take it away from a driver unless they're already having a first podium or something like that. With her circumstances, you're not going to take that away from her. If you're JTK, you need to go catch her on pace. And right now, it's slowly but surely happening, but I don't think it's enough. It's too little too late, it looks like.
We'll see. You still got 3 laps left to go at this stage. The fact that there's 3 laps left now is well, this race is kind of flown by if you really think about it.
I saw a lockup
they're
for the turn
slowly
1, by
starting
the
to
way.
realize.
I don't know if that was J and T or B now, but someone locked up.
I think it might have been JTK. He didn't exactly hit the apex.
No, I was in front of him. It was J and T or B now, one of the two. Maybe JTK did too, but I want to mention that Ferrari tire wear, especially with how horrid it is. 14 laps on those tires. Those tires wear 3.5% a lap. I'm not saying he's going to make it to the end of this race, J&T, but I'm saying, though, if he's wasted his tires and if he's really pushed it, he may be at a concern for a puncture, but that's only if the game ends up choosing the lottery number type of puncture where you're like, okay, I'm at 69, 70, 71%. Yeah, we'll give you a puncture even though it should be at 80, 85% you're getting punctures at. So maybe a concern there. If he's not going to get a puncture, he'll definitely fall off. He's lost time to Bino, but he's got the podium. He's been in cruise control to extend the championship lead. The other concern, though, is for 4th place here, because even if Martin mounts a last lap attack here and helps out his teammate, that'll be crucial for J&T to extend a lead. And even then, obviously, you mentioned earlier on the constructors battle.
Yeah, so these positions are very crucial for all those positions, respectively. And Meriton will probably want to get ahead to at least help J&T with the Drivers' Championship, but also Constructors as well. But the one thing that's going to hurt Meriton is because he's low on ERS in comparison to JTK. JTK has nearly double of Meriton. I think Meriton, though, might just leave it until the last lap to go for this move. And, well, by the way, he's been driving. He definitely is.
Yeah, I mean, he saved up about 20% on battery here. He's really played his cards beautifully, and it looks like a strategic masterclass in terms of that battery. But like I said, with JTK having 60% better earlier, the difference between them is only 20% now. So lots to mention in terms of where they're at. By the way, I want to give massive credit to the drivers tonight. We had something similar happen here in F1 a few seasons ago, and even last season, well, the most recent race here, technically last season, if we're going to talk about Tier 2 to Tier 1 comparison, but this season of F1, we had, I think, 2, 3 DNFs. This race, we've only had 1 retirement. That was Sam Steed in the pit lane. I'm going to assume for either giving up or rear wing damage, and we've had no safety cars since then, and we're about to start the final lap. What a clean race we've had. I don't expect to see 8 tickets like we saw, or sorry, 8 submissions like we did last week.
No, definitely not. It's been a very clean race, and that's kind of what you expect with Bahrain, because it can be easy to overtake around here. And, well, the drivers, they've proved it. And they've also proved that when in situations like this, they can be absolutely clean. But starting the final lap, you got to look at that battle for P4.
Battle for P8. You mentioned Red Fire earlier. That might be something to watch out for, too. And here we go. Down the main straight, Meriton gaining, finally turning on the battery, and JTK will have to go defensive, and JTK will lose out here on 4th place. Meriton gets the spot, but JTK, with the better battery, now can turn it on and get himself back 4th place here on the run to turn 4. Here we go, Meriton protecting, and JTK gonna go for the long way around, side by side, nearly a collision. Meriton forces him out, gives him a squeeze. Martin is ahead and through.
Timed it perfectly. He has absolutely timed it to perfection. That's exactly what he needed to do. And now, that massively influences both the drivers and the Constructors' Championship.
We still got a battle for P8 as well going on. Valkyrie and Invade still for P10. We'll switch to that and flick back once we get to our top 5 crossing the line. JTK using the battery, still not done here, but our race winner here will be a brand new race winner, Bino. He left the league when he first joined it. He had a contract signed, but didn't choose to stick with that contract. He took advantage of a possible Red Bull opportunity, and that opportunity for a race victory comes today. It's his first one. Bino, with a commanding drive, wins Bahrain. He wins the Bahrain Grand Prix, and for 4th place, it's still not done. JTK and Martin gonna have a drag race to the line. JTK betters him for 4th place in this race. J&T Gaming second,
wow,
extending the championship lead, and for the second time in Tier 2 history, a female driver is on the podium. I don't think they're taking that one away. Mintoki, it's all yours.
Yeah, fair play to Mintoki. Drove a very neat race for herself, and yet JTK getting that move on the line. That is absolutely incredible for him. The Meriton line in 5th, Tadpole, bit of a lonely 6th, Strat Racer on his return. Fair enough. P7, that's a good result for him. Kipu P8, Red Fire, in a car that should be terrible around this track, grabbing P9. Great result for him. Nearly P8 as well. Valkyrie rounds out the top 10.
Oh, gutting for Blue Goggy. He was going to get wavy, but he ran out of fuel. He was going to get wavy knife on penalties. He did a really good recovery drive to get 13th there, but he's now going to be dusted for now 15th. He's out of fuel. He rear locked it in the final corner, and it's all come undone for him. Invade, Dill JG, Wavy, Jack Andrews, and Blue Goggy will round out our top 15. Nathan Richards actually getting P14 on penalties, and yeah, Blue Goggy crossing now, but it will be only P16. And Hunted's car, I guess they retired it at the end because he didn't finish the session, but only one retirement this race, and 2 brand new podium finishers. One is a brand new race winner.
Yeah, Bino, excellent race from him. Getting the step up to that Red Bull, and he proved exactly that he can fight at the front. He does have what it takes. And Red Bull needed this. Red Bull were in a bit of a slump. Well,
yes, they were.
Now they're back.
They were very much slacking, and although they lose out in terms of points with Ferrari, they don't lose out much. But Bino levitating himself on the podium celebrations. We've got 3 different constructors, 3 different drivers, 3 different nations on the podium. Mintoki, the first for her nation, the first in this nation, in this league. She'll get to spray the champagne. I'm going to guess keep it as well. J&T Gaming, another 2nd place finish, but an 8th straight podium. In terms of most consecutive podiums, I don't know where that lies, but in terms of a single season for Tier 2, that's in the top 5. So that's how good of a season he's having. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stay the same from where they started. Very good there. Bino with a commanding drive, winning the race. Strat Racer held on to fastest lap, being P7. He's in my top 3 for driver of the day. So would Red Fire, but I have to give it to Bino if I'm going to give it to anybody here. I don't know what you think, but I have to give it to Bino. He commanding drive. Red Bull needed this. Red Bull had drivers even with Grandpa and others who've raced Tier 2 this season and either won races or had chances to win races and had a gap, but never in the likes that Bino did. He proved that he can do it, and as you see on our screen, we only lost 1.
Yeah, surprisingly, very minimal DNFs. In fact, actually, it's almost the minimum. But yeah, good race. And you're talking about me. You're talking about what I would say for my driver of the day. I would definitely give it to Bino as well. He definitely had the measure of everybody. One pit stops went around, but I have to give fair credit to both Red Fire and also Trout Racer. Trout Racer on his return, grabbing a very nice P7 and the fastest lap. To be fair, it's not often you see somebody other than one of those top 3 teams take a fastest lap point as well. So it was a good race from him. And Red Fire in that dog of an AlphaTauri to get P9, I'd say that's a very, very amazing drive from him, and certainly one that he needed.
Well, DilJG questioning why he has a seat on the grid. I think it's because of a collision they may have had. But Blue Goggy Wavy, they had a collision back on lap 1. I think they're agreeing to disagreeing in a respectful manner this time. Goggy saying he had nowhere to go and really wasn't anywhere to go. And Wavy said same here. So although both those drivers don't get along, they're agreeing on something this time, which is really great to see. And also something else to mention that I also saw from the chat, he jumped to start because he thought there was going to be a restart for how long we sat.
Aww.
That's unfortunate. You can't sit here and guarantee things like that. Nothing is guaranteed. So I really do wonder what could have been, considering he closed the gap up to Wavy there at the end by 5 seconds. I think he probably would have been in that Red Fire, Kipu, Valkyrie, DilJG area at the end there.
Yeah, quite potentially, but these things they do happen, and sometimes you just kind of have to take it on the chin. And yeah, that's pretty much the situation for him. But he didn't give up. I'll say that. He did not give up. And if it wasn't for that fuel, he would have finished at least P13. So Goggy, although he may have jumped the start, he still had a good race. I'll give you that.
All right, 5 minutes till Miami GP sprint qualifying. Minako. I don't know how many times. We need a freaking swear jar for how many times I've messed that up. Minako, my co-com, I need to ask you, 5 minutes before Miami GP sprint qualifying, we have China for F1 tomorrow in their return there, and 3 rounds remaining in the Tier 2 championship. The Constructors battle does not look like it's going away, but JTK seems to be slipping away from that Drivers' Championship. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, just only a few rounds left to go, as you said. And yeah, I just can't wait to see how not only this championship ends up, but also just how next game is going to end up as well, with all the driver changes and also all the team changes as well. But nonetheless, don't focus on the future, focus on the now. And yeah, this championship, especially for the Constructors, is going to be a very entertaining one.
I had to call you out, Goggy. I'm sorry. I won't do that again. That was very disrespectful and unprofessional for me. Either way.
Wow.
Either way. No, I will say, and one other thing to mention, I did lure Make PK back into racing here in RPL because of his 20 race ban. Although he didn't put up the performance today, I know he had pace from what he showed in qualifying. Very good to see. That's been shown before. He did better than his teammate in qualifying, but he didn't have the race at all. I'm going to be interested to see if he does end up doing better in the final 3 races, though. I know he's not full-time. Nathan Richards is. Mythic will be back next week. We'll see what those Williams guys can do in terms of the points, but hey, it will all be figured out next week in Abu Dhabi, and then tomorrow in F1 China for everything to be figured out then. Well, F1 China tomorrow to finish off the weekend. We got Sprint Grand Prix qualifying for F1 Real Life happening right now. We'll let you go over to that. So in the meantime, we're ending off by telling you Abu Dhabi's next week for Tier 2. Ryan Searles, Minako, your two main and co-commentators for tonight's event. We're signing off. Have a good one. We'll see you either tomorrow for China in Tier 1 or next week, Tier 2 Abu Dhabi. In the meantime, have a good night.